All right, folks. Hi, welcome to the runningrestaurants.com podcast. We're bringing the tips, tools, and techniques you need to know to make your restaurant more profitable and successful. I'm your host, Jaime Oikle. Today, got a great episode for you. Got Denise Tran, founder and CEO of Bun Mee. So, Denise, hi. First of all, welcome. Describe the concept, and we'll go from there.
Hi, thanks for having me. Bun Mee is a San Francisco-based gourmet Vietnamese sandwich eatery, founded in 2011. We have 4 locations in San Francisco, fifth one opening up in a few weeks, actually, in the Marina neighborhood. We are known for our chef and mom-driven, innovative bun mee and bun mee inspired Vietnamese sandwiches, salads, and bowls, and we are just a neighborhood favorite in town. So.
You know what's great, folks? You guys will all appreciate listening to this. Denise, as before we got on the call, they're literally opening up a new location as we speak. So we'll talk about that today and the chaos that is, and able to jump on and get to that. So let's go right there, or let's take the journey actually a little bit there. You started a while ago, maybe had a few locations, and now I know you're expanding into franchising and opening up a new one. So take it wherever you want. You want to talk about the new one right now? You want to talk about how you got to where you are?
Yeah, so we've got so many exciting things happening right now. We are in the midst of launching our national franchise launch, which is exciting. And along with that, opening our 5th location. All of it is, it's a culmination of a dream of mine that I've had when I started Bun Mee almost 13 years ago. And to see Bun Mee grow and be accepted and take this next big leap in our journey is so rewarding. And I can't wait for the next steps. It does keep me really busy. And I'm trying to juggle it all, like you said.
I was on your site, which I love, by the way, and your about page is terrific. It gets to the passion of what you do. And for folks that are listening, if you don't like your about us page, please tell your story there. Give the background. And if you need an example, go to Denise's page, bunmee.co. Very good job of giving your background. But one of the things that's most fascinating is jumping out of the legal background. So you were a lawyer for a while, now a restaurant operator. Different transition. What's going on there?
I know it's not the most straightforward path to get into the restaurant business. And I would have to say, I think when I decided to leave a cushy law job, my mom probably thought I was going crazy. She's like, what are you doing? You're in her mind going the opposite way. She's like, but it was a time in life where I had a few major events happening, and I just, my father had passed away, and I just thought I wanted to, it made me step back and think about my life, and knowing that life is short. And I experienced his passing. He was pretty young at the time. And so it just made me think about what I was doing. And so I wanted to curate the next stage of my life. At the time, I was doing a lot of billable hours, happy with what I was doing, but not feeling fully content in the sense that, does this really make sense for me for the rest of my life? So I decided to get out of law and launch this sandwich business, which at the time for me, this was in 2008, and I was living in New York City at the time, and Bun Mee was just a fragmented experience, in the sense that if you wanted to get a Vietnamese sandwich, you had to go to Chinatown, you had to dig for it, and you really had to be a foodie or in the know to know about this sandwich. It was not mainstream, I guess, at the time. And I wanted to be that person to take it out of Chinatown alleyways and to bring it onto mainstream and to introduce to people a sandwich that basically is our Vietnamese hamburger, right? That
Yep.
it's like the equivalent of a hamburger for us in Vietnam, but not known in the U.S. And so, and I grew up eating this and going to Vietnam and having these great street food experiences, eating um, this delicious sandwich that is unique in the sense that it's the only Asian sandwich that exists, right? In this, in the way that we know it with because of the French influence. And so I thought this is a great opportunity for me to create scalable concept that is artisan, that is just focused on this beloved item, make it, be innovative, do things that weren't doing, folks weren't doing at the time, and put it in locations that are accessible to everyone, and to educate a lot of people that just wouldn't otherwise have stumbled upon this, or wouldn't go look, go to Chinatown and find this food item, right? And just and be very customer service focused. And so for us, it was a simple idea actually, but hadn't been done or executed well. And so, in my opinion, so at the time, that was kind of what I wanted to do. And I would say in the first early years when we ended up launching in San Francisco, in Pacific Heights neighborhood, which was primarily a very affluent white neighborhood with a lot of folks that have never even heard of Bun Mee. Our first several years was just educating folks, educating them. We would have our employees have a script and describe what a Bun Mee was. And, once people have it, then it's not so foreign anymore. But at the time, just there's just no concept of what is a Vietnamese sandwich. So we did a lot of educating in the beginning, and it's just it just took off, which I was very excited about and happy about to see that it take off. I was surprised that it took off so quickly, but I think food resonates with people. Good
100%.
Food just resonates. It's very basic, right?
I will go back to the law firm stuff for a second. You can barely see it, but on the far side, my wife was a longtime corporate lawyer, so I can appreciate the hours that you're talking about, the life that is that, and then the life that is something else. It is a crazy lifestyle to be in. But one of the things on your site, I know you didn't. Part of this comes from family, right? I mean, there's a historical root, whether it's, I forget on the story, whether it's an aunt cooking in the kitchen, what's that experience?
Yeah, my mom is an amazing home cook. And so growing up, I mean, that was my experience, just eating out of her kitchen. And so I really learned from that. And also I grew up in a neighborhood in New Orleans, called New Orleans. It's in New Orleans East, which was a large enclave of Vietnamese immigrants that came and lived there, and it was our own little community. And so they called it Little Saigon. So there, that was where we kept our culture and kept our food culture there. And for me, so all those references that come from my travels to Vietnam and eating street food there, one of my trips, I traveled on my own, and I would go and eat at all these street food vendors, and I would find someone that I liked and connect with, and I would ask them to close for the day and see if they could take me home and show me their recipes and tell me stories. And they knew that I wasn't trying to steal their recipes, because they're like, okay, this is a Vietnamese American. She doesn't live here. She's not local. But it was a way to connect through stories and through food. And all those memories just, really, when I opened Bun Mee, those are the memories and the references that all gelled together and helped to create, our menu and our vision of how we wanted to approach food, but also, my American background. I mean, I grew
Mhm.
up here, so I feel, I came here when I was 3.
Yep.
So I feel very American. So a lot of my American food references too, um, also it also influences our menu. So it's really a reflection of um, my background being both
Good.
Vietnamese and American.
I want to come back to the newness in a little bit, educating customers about trying something new, because I'm one of those people that's hard to try something new. But before I go there, I want to, a couple of recent episodes, we've been using the phrase pain points. Like in the restaurant industry, there's pain points. It could be labor. It could be just the cost of goods sold. Have you identified anything recently trending in your location that's just like, oh, these are the 3 things that are just bugging me the most?
I definitely, those 2 things. I mean, obviously, in the food business, it's your main costs are labor and food, and managing that with the rising cost of labor and food right now that we're experiencing is always a pain point. And for us, providing value is so important to
Hmm.
us. So we don't always want to answer that by raising prices all the time, although sometimes we do have to. But it is a delicate balance between managing pricing and food and labor. And we spent a lot of time invest in researching and investing in processes
Hmm.
and equipment that will help us simplify things in terms of how we do things, so that will help with labor costs and reduce waste. So it's a continuing issue that myself, and I'm sure every restaurateur, thinks about and looks at. Um, the other pain point is also just consistency. And so in terms of training and thinking about training and being finding ways to systemize our training so that we have consistency in what we do. That's a continuing pain point for us as well.
What about on the training side,
Hmm.
finding people? If you're going to expand, you're opening a new place now, so I'm sure you've hiring or you've gone through the hiring process very recently. So you're probably training some new people right now as we speak. How are you systematizing that to make it easier to roll out? What do you think?
Right. I mean, right now we're in the midst of onboarding a lot of our training processes online
Hmm.
through
Hmm.
video,
Yeah.
so that's a process, and that's an investment that we're making so that we can make our training programs consistent. But it's not, not reinventing the wheel, but I mean, it's just a lot of checklists, a
Sure.
lot of assigning great people to train and having those checklists and following up and doing tests. We test our new employees after various stages of training. We have tests with them. We 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 follow up. We follow up and test them, and that's the only way at this point. And until we are all online with our training,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
is a lot of just following up and making sure that folks are doing what they're doing and really retaining that information.
How do you go about setting the expectations of a new staff at a new location? Because where I'm going with that is a lot of customers are going to come to you for the first time, and that first impression, that first experience can set the frequency for years to come. How do you talk to people about the brand, the expectation, the what we are? How do you communicate that and really get through to the nit and gritty people that are going to be dealing with customers?
Yeah, I'm really lucky in the sense that we just have amazing managers that
Hmm.
take pride in what they do, and they somewhat are competitive with each other in
Yeah.
terms the performances of their
Mm-hmm.
stores, and that comes with years of investing in culture and building that culture where customer service is really important, and we give a lot of shout outs around customer service about how we do things and in each store. And so expressing or being able to convey those standards to new
Mm-hmm.
employees is not hard for us to do in the sense because they do get to visit the stores. They visit all the stores and say one store is great at doing this thing, whether it's like, it's a neighborhood store and they're great at with customer service. They remember folks' names. They call them out. It becomes like a relationship that they build with our guests there. And so we'll have our employees train at different locations
Mm-hmm.
because different locations will excel. It's hard to excel in everything, but different locations may excel in one or two things. And we'll move our new employees to train at those locations so that they're able to pick up on the best of what we expect. And that's still kind of a new process that we've been doing, but we feel that allows that new employee to see, okay, this is the standard. This is
Yeah.
the best that we expect there.
Good. Can you go back and give me an example? You use the phrase shout outs. Is it during meetings that you actually call people up and say, hey, Tammy did terrific last week. I can't believe what she did. She went above. Is it like that? What does it look like?
Yeah, shout outs. I mean, we connect on Slack, and so everyone's on there. So we really do a lot of shout outs, just meaning like, hey, this location did this much in sales. Everyone worked really well. It was huge teamwork. They take photos. We shout out, we give shout outs to them, high fives, virtual high fives.
Yeah.
And not only that, I make a point of when I'm visiting the locations to always have a good stack of gift cards with me.
Okay.
Whether it be Starbucks cards or like even a grocery store card, but and so if I'm in there and I'm doing a run and the kitchen's spotless, or I'm seeing folks just really executing high quality food and presentations great, and we'll just, shout out like when we're there, so folks just know. And I come unannounced, but
Yep.
they know it's me, but they don't know when I'm coming. But I'm, and I do that, and our managers do that as well. So we don't necessarily have like an employee of the month sort of thing. We really have this ongoing, hey, I just noticed you.
Yeah.
This is awesome. You just really stepped up here, it's one of those things. And I think people just feel seen and appreciated at that moment.
Yeah, that's really good, and it echoes some things we've been talking about recently on the show and on the website. There's not enough recognition and rewards for your staff. You're probably not doing it enough. If you're listening to this, you're probably not doing it enough. So I really like how you're doing it on the fly, like ad lib. It doesn't have to be just the first Tuesday of the month. You see something good, reward it, and the reward does not have to be gigantic. Gift card. People appreciate those small gestures. I really like how you're approaching that, and and that helps build the culture. Would you agree?
Yes, it really does. And our managers do it because they see me do it, and I encourage them to do it. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be a $15, Starbucks card, whatnot.
Yeah.
And it also, other employees see that and see that acknowledgement, and it allows them to say, hey, that's great. I'm going to model that.
Right.
And so, and not have to wait once a month for this employee of the month,
Exactly.
And I think having it in real time and having other employees see specifically that activity or that modeling allows them to understand this is the standard.
Yeah, and we say several times on our show, praise in public, which is what you're doing, and obviously, criticize in private is the way to do that. But let's talk about You're in the fast casual space, so frequency
Yes.
is a big deal. What is your ideal target frequency for customers? What do you think? How often would you like people to come in and on a monthly basis?
Well, I would want them to come in all the time,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, we're fortunate in that we are in neighborhoods that we do see our guests come in about once every week or 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And if we can get folks to come once a week or once every 2 weeks, that's awesome. I think that would be enough for us. But we do, our neighborhood shops, we see guests come in about once a week.
It's one of those things because people have a choice of where they're going to go, and you're in California, you're in San Francisco. That's a food town. People have an infinite amount of choices. So how can you get them to choose you? They're not going to come to you every day. It's not
Right.
realistic, right? So
Right.
how can you get that once a week or once every 2 weeks and stay on their radar? Are you doing anything that you find successful marketing wise to encourage those repeat visits? Text, email, social, in store? Anything in particular working for you?
Right. Good question. We're at, we've, to answer your question, we've been working on that because right now, a lot of what we do is just, it isn't, it's more, creating that experience that
Mhm.
customers just feel like, um, I'm going to get this consistent experience, and and Pedro at the store knows me and knows what I like and has it ready for me at any time.
Yeah.
We don't do, I mean, we do the social media, obviously, and, we do have offers that we do online via DoorDash and everything.
Mhm.
We do have offers that really encourage new customers and new folks that haven't visited us before to
Sure.
try us. So we spend a lot of our budget dollars on introducing ourselves to new folks at the moment because we do have a high return rate once you've tried us.
Yeah.
So right now we're really testing out introducing us to new folks. But over time we'll have like loyalty cards and uh, discounts and various freebies for folks that are repeat customers. We've done that in the past and that's worked. But we're
Mhm.
currently really focused on putting ourselves in front of new folks that haven't visited us.
Yeah, that's and that's good because it's one of the hardest segments to get is the new, and then obviously you want to build on the existing folks. You're in tech mega capital of the planet, so I'm assuming that people are ordering on their phones a lot. There's takeout orders. There's a lot of that. Has that become an increasingly big part of your business to be mobile centric and have to go orders ready to go? What do you think?
Yes, being in San Francisco, we're always the first to adapt to all the new technology. So
Yeah.
that's another uh, challenge for us, being a small business and being on top of technology to make sure that we meet our customers where they are. And it is true, our business, we've seen that just continue every year to move more and more into mobile. And so we've had to adjust our business to make sure that we're there. So mobile ordering it is big, and we spend a lot of effort, like I mentioned earlier, just reaching out to those folks because we know that that's how they're meeting us via third party apps, and so
Yeah.
that's how we're marketing ourselves. That's how we're putting ourselves out there. So the money that we spend is really via that because we know that's where they are. People are working more from home. So, we're getting less office catering and more folks just
Mhm.
ordering food for lunch because they're working from home.
Yeah.
So we know that's happening more. And there's just, and we're also investing in ordering kiosks.
Sure.
Folks are just used to just ordering in front of a kiosk. They don't necessarily need um, someone ringing up their order anymore. They're just used to doing that, and sometimes they prefer it. So we've made investments in kiosks, just at all our locations now, to reflect that that's how our customers are experiencing us, and they're okay with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's a big change. I mean, around 50, right? And so when I see the younger people come in, they're just on their phone, and I'm sure you serve people across demographic, but especially where you are, being able to do those things, it's become second nature in terms of ordering. My kids just pick up the phone, they do everything, they want to do that. And to your point, a lot of people just do want to interact with a digital screen to put in exactly what they want. It's going to be correct, and then they hit submit. So if you're not doing that as a restaurant, continue to push those boundaries, because it's only a way to increase sales. So we didn't even touch on the airport piece. Let's touch on that for a quick second. You guys are in the airport there. That's got to be just kind of a while to operate inside of an airport, because I know it has constraints and so forth. Give me the highlights there.
Yeah, so we are at SFO Airport Terminals 1 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
We've been there since 2017. We're the only Vietnamese restaurant at SFO. And operating at the airport is an entirely different environment altogether, as you can probably imagine. One of our biggest adjustments we've had to make is our airport employees are all union. And so that is understanding labor contracts and union contracts, and dealing with union employees is something you have to learn and be familiar with. So that was a learning curve for us, because that's just not our model. And operating in a secured environment, just even down to like if you had a plumbing leak, and you couldn't just call someone off the street. They had to be badged, and and be able to badge, meaning airport badged, and having clearance. And there's just so many there's such I don't want to say red tape, but there's so many steps to getting into the airport, for security reasons, and just screening employees. I mean, employees have to constantly be screened for security reasons, and so hiring there is that adds another layer of complexity when you're hiring employees for the airport, because they need to be, they have to have a clean record. They have to be screened, and they have to constantly be screened. And so, and operating in an environment where we're open such long hours, right? Because that's not what we're used to, but we're open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So just having just a day, a work day that spans such long hours for us it was new for us. And so we had to develop a breakfast menu that we didn't have before. And we had to be more efficient with our operations, because airport operating is very expensive. So it's, but then, there's lots of upsides as well. So it makes it worthwhile, but getting into the airport is a hard thing to do. It's getting through the RFP process to be able to get into the airport and operate there is a hard thing to do. You get rewarded at least. We're very fortunate to be able to be there. We love being at SFO. And one of the reasons I came in was I thought this was a great opportunity to expand our brand to travelers, to people who may not come visit our stores street side and not know about us.
Yeah, thanks for running through that. I had only thought about a couple of those things, but yeah, the layers of complexity increase dramatically to operate in that environment. So I've always been curious about that, how the restaurants get in there and how they operate differently. Obviously, you see a lot of chain brands at restaurants, but to see a local brand at restaurants, I appreciate that. So I like that. Let's go to kind of parting thoughts, parting wisdom. Send them to your websites, your socials, where they can find out more. Where should they go?
Right. So our website is www.bunmee.co, so that is our website, and you can find all the information about us there. Find us on Instagram at Bun Mee. And yeah, those are the two best spots to find us.
Yeah. So thank you. I'll wrap that. I'll put those again in a second. But parting
Thank you for
thoughts, parting
having me.
wisdom. What if you were to close it up? Last things you would say about the brand, about the business. What do you think?
Yeah, the last thing I want to say is we're embarking on an exciting time. We want to be a nationally known brand for Vietnamese sandwiches. We think there's a great opportunity for us to do that. We invite folks to come visit our site, and if you're in San Francisco, to come to our stores and try our delicious sandwiches and bowls and salads. I think you'll be really impressed with you know, the experience there. And hopefully you'll be able to meet some of our friendly staff. We'll be happy to serve you.
Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate that, folks. Denise Tran, founder and CEO of Bun Mee. Again, find them on the web at bunmee.co, BUNMEE.co. For more great restaurant marketing and service and people and tech tips and more, stay tuned to us here at runningrestaurants.com. In the meantime, do us a favor, and wherever you're watching or listening, like it, subscribe to it, give us a review, a rating. All that helps, and we appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Denise.
Thank you, Jamie.